What a remarkable privilege it is to stand before you this evening. Never did I imagine that an infrastructure entrepreneur like me would be speaking to some of the most creative minds of our country. This year is the centenary celebrations of two towering legends, two cinema is not just entertainment. It is a poetry in motion, philosophy in color, Raj Kapoor ji beautifully understood this in the film Anadi. He had sang, किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निशान. This was not just a lyric, it was a philosophy that was and remains the soft power of Bharat, of feelings expressed through art. In the era with a Soviet, in the era of post-World War II, Raj Kapoor ji was India's finest advocate of soft power, building a cultural bond that uplifted India and Soviet ties for generations. And so, when Subhash ji invited me to speak, would a builder of ports and airports possibly share with you that every project I have built did not begin with steel, but began with a story. Before you lay a foundation in the ground, you must lay a foundation in the mind. Buildings will crumble. Empires will fade. But long after the lights go out, role that remains lighting the path for those who come next. And perhaps no story reflects this spirit more beautifully behind the creations of a few years back, it was over breakfast that Subhasji shared a story of a trip to America, where an immigrant and film. In that instant, our nation's identity was stamped not by its politics or power, but by a story. A film that had captured the world's memory. Comment led him to a question: his life's mission. Why must it take Richard Attenborough from across the ocean to tell us Indians the story of our Mahatma? And so I learned how Whistling Woods was born, an institute built not by walls, but of a single man's dream, a dream that Bharat must tell her own stories to the world. क्योंकि सपने वो नहीं जो नींद में आए, सपने वो है जो नींद उड़ा जाए. My dear friends, every conversation with Subhasji feels less like an exchange of words and more like opening a fascinating book, one where every page reveals to you an unseen truth about yourself. He does not debate, he awakens. By the quiet force of his questions and storytelling, he makes you look inward, not to seek answers, but to stimulate reflections. His words turn questions into mirrors, and in those mirrors you discover not answers, but the deeper questions you must reflect on. And in one such conversations, he said something that has stayed with me. Gautam bhai, to tell one's own story is not an act of pride. It is an act of preservation, because silence is not humility, it is surrender. And every silence is the first step to forgetting who we are. I realized that in some ways, one of the world's greatest storytellers was helping me trace my own story, not through success of balance sheets or presence in boardrooms, but in the reels of my own memory. Reels of the action-packed Hindi films that shape my ambitions and my imaginations. Reels of the magnetic pull of Mumbai within me that refused to fade. And reels of the movies like Dawn and Janjeer that always provoke the restless dreamer within me. Subhasji's narrative was like a torch, revealing to me that I was never just building businesses. I was living out a film that began long ago. And the more I reflected, the more I sensed that deep within us, we have a script already written that guides the choices we make, the paths we walk, and the dreams that pull us forward. In that grand design, each of us becomes an actor, playing roles we may never have picked, yet were meant to play. And I felt if Subhasji's words were showing me my reflections, a reminder that I too was part of a story in motion. A story that began with a 16-year-old boy who left home for Mumbai with empty pockets, but a sky full of dreams. And as I stood in the diamond markets at 16, built India's largest trading house by 30, went public at 32, and entered the ports and power businesses at 34. I was not following anyone's script. I was writing my own, believing that the film heroes I grew up watching